Bum 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 bum.
Tomatoes?
Hello, welcome to video 4. What is material? The divide node. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. Basically, the divide node is one of the 4 main nodes: divide, add, subtract, and multiply. And divide, if you're not using it just straight for math, is intended to lighten up an object or a texture that you feed into it. Let me go ahead and show you some examples in here. So, how the divide node works is, let's start with their numbers down here. We have a 10. And if we divide by 0.5, a smaller than 1 number, we'll plug this into our emissive. And you'll go ahead and notice it's going to be completely blown out. When your divisor, your lower number, your b, is smaller than 1, it's basically going to increase whatever your a is. Now, normally that's not going to be too much of an issue. If you're combining nodes, like textures, you're going to end up with something that's like darker. So let's plug this in. You can go ahead and see. Basically, I have a black here, a very small value of black. And then I have a texture sample of noise, and you notice it's basically almost flipping the colors. Here's my original, and then here's the opposite when I divide, because it's taking this very small 0.01 number and dividing it by the blacks, which are 0, and the whites, which are 1, and we're coming back with this. If I was to flip this, and let's put that on the top and our small number on the bottom, you're going to see this. You're going to see an extremely blown out. Basically, any parts that were dark, very, very dark, something around this value, is going to still be there. Everything else, the whites, they're already a higher number. They're, closer to 1. And they're being divided, by 0.01, which means it's going to become a much, much, much larger number. If I was to plug this into emissive, you're going to notice, boom, it's going to just blow out immediately. So you can use the divider to increase the color on a sample by giving it a small value in the B. So like, for example, here I have this black and white image again, where the whites are 1 and the blacks are 0. And I'm dividing it by this red color. Keep in mind it has RGB. I'm feeding in 3 colors, technically 4 because of the alpha, and I'm feeding in 4 here, and I'm getting back this, where our blacks are staying black, and our other colors, our whites and such, are basically being overblown because we're dividing by smaller numbers here. Keep in mind, you're going to have numbers like 0.8 and 0.7, and your darker colors here may be 0.6, and your lighter reds may be closer to 1. But they're not going to be 1. They're not red. They're not full red, and we're not fully white. Any numbers below 1 are going to increase the values here, and that's why we're looking at blue. One way to show this, let me plug in my alpha. If we plug in our alpha, this is our result. Our alpha for our heart is this. The heart itself is white, which is 1, and the outside is black, which is going to be 0. So when we look at this, when we divide our texture sample by our alpha, our 1, which is our white, is going to be showing as best as possible. Our black, which is our 0, which technically is not 0, is going to be blown out as much as possible, where we're going to get this bright white. If we plug this into emissive, you can see that it is this white right here is an extremely high number. And the reason for that is you technically should never divide by 0. Dividing by 0 will give you a divide by 0 error, and that is a problem. Computers don't like that. So what you're going to see is if we actually have a 0 here and we plug it into our divider, we're going to get our huge white number. It's technically not 0. It's not going to allow us to put in a 0 to divide by. So it's going to give us something very, very small, like, maybe 0.00001 or something like that. And remember, the smaller the number your divider, the larger the result will be to your A. And that means our whites are going to be huge. If we clamp this, it wouldn't be an issue, but this is just to show you what happens. So that is going to be our divide node. It's useful if you want to blow up colors by making sure your B is a small number. You can technically darken things if you want by making sure you're, like for example, we plugged in here a white. You're going to get back your same results. Let's plug this into emissive. And we're going to get our same results. You have a 1 and you're dividing by zeros and ones. You're going to get back the same number. But if we lower these at all, 0.6, 0.6, 0.6, our result, if we refresh it, is going to start becoming more towards the white, and our blacks are going to become blacker. So you're going to start kind of separating your blacks and your whites. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below.